All right, let's talk Texas Longhorns. This is obviously one of the top contenders in college football. They've proven it in the last couple seasons, and they're going to be very good again this season, of course. But lost in all the news and all the attention in terms of certain transfer portal guys and recruiting moves and position battles and things like that has been a larger theme with Texas and Coach Sarkisian and the incredible job they've done in terms of accumulating talent and building a team. And we're seeing just a massive spike in overall talent the way we haven't seen in Texas in a very long time. We got some interesting data to support this. But first, I'm Nick. That is Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, a lot of people look at Texas's success over the past couple seasons and just say, okay, we're in, a Texas is back kind of mode. They're obviously one of the best teams. Join the SEC, no problem at all. They've dominated the SEC at least compared to most of teams who made the transition. Looking at Missouri, A&M, programs like that, they've played at a much higher level than a lot of other people expected. They're one of the best teams in college football. That's undeniable. But lost in all of that is the fact that Texas has gotten a lot better than people think in terms of the level of talent they have on their roster. So let's go ahead and pull up this first chart here to talk about what we're describing here. So what we did is we looked at Texas's 4 years recruiting score, summing it together, and then we plotted it from 2022, 23, 24, and 25. So what we mean by the trailing 4 years. So in 2022, that season, you had the 22 recruiting class, the 21 recruiting class, the 20 recruiting class, and the 19 recruiting class. We added them all up. That's the score on the screen. So for 23, it's the same thing, but you just shift forward. So you go the 23 recruiting class, the 22 recruiting class, the 21 recruiting class, and the 20 recruiting class. Those four classes, add them up, plot them on screen. 2024, same thing, right? 24 class, 23 class, 22 class, 21 class, right? You get the picture at this point. And you can see starting in 2022, there is a clear linear growth, right? They're getting better and better and better. And in 2025, we're seeing a spike. Now, keep in mind, this isn't just the 2025 class, it is the 2025 class and the three other classes before it. So what we're seeing is essentially a rolling average of Texas getting better and better and better football players. And I think this next chart is going to get you Longhorns fans very excited. Let's go ahead and put it on the screen here. This is very interesting. So it's the same data we showed on the first chart. It's a recruiting score of 4 years trailing, but it's plotting the wins that happened that season. So you can see what happened in 2023 and 2024 as their linear progression. They increased their wins. We saw it over the past couple seasons, but now we have that spike. So if their wins were what they were in 2023 and 2024, disappointing playoff exits, let's just call it what it is. Now we can look at 2025. What are the wins going to be this season? What are they going to look like this season? Now, obviously, they're not going to go from 13 wins to 20 wins, right? Physically, that's impossible. But it's clear they're going to be significantly better because their overall talent has spiked dramatically. And it was already extremely high, of course. This Texas team, a lot of people are seeing as one of the best teams in college football, like I mentioned in the opening, rightly so. But I think when you look at the data, this Longhorn squad is a lot better than even those people think. They are, in my opinion, looking at the information right now, the best team in college football. Not the best team in the SEC, not a playoff contender, the best team. Now, look, they got to execute, right? Coach Sark is going to have his guys ready, but they got to get the job done on Saturdays. We all understand that. But when you look at the data, it's clear that the Texas roster as a whole, starting 3 years ago to the 2025 class, is at its highest level of talent in an extremely long time. And they were already really good with even slightly lesser talent. This team, this data that I'm showing in front of you guys here, should absolutely terrify the competition. Because if they were good last year, look at that number right there. We see the wins, they climb. Spike in the red. What's the spike in the blue going to be? It could be a special season for Texas. It's hard not to think otherwise when you look at the data. All right, Mize, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. But first, Longhorns fans in the comment section below. Obviously, this data is probably getting you guys excited for the season. It feels like football is getting closer and closer, even though we got basically an entire summer away. But to that end, what game, what matchup are you looking forward to this season more than any other, right? There's obviously a lot of really good ones. Maybe it's a game you're going to attend. Maybe it's a game that's always had a special feeling for you. Maybe it's a rivalry game. Whatever it is, give us the one matchup you're looking forward to this season for Texas more than any other. Let us know in the comment section below. But Mize, over to you now. What are your thoughts on this data and just everything going on with Texas right now?
Yeah, Nick, I think you talk about the growing success or the growing, achievements of the recruits that they bring in, at the high ranking of all of these recruits. As far as the class, the quality of the class Texas brought in has gotten better and better and better. You talk about it's not just who they bring in this year; it's all the guys that are falling in behind them. And I think this is really important. And I think this is something that's happened since Steve Sarkisian came in back in 2021. There's kind of been a theme here when you look at those classes that he's brought in, what he's built here. And something we talk about a lot on this channel. And what does he do? In 2021, we look at that class. There's 23 enrollees in that class, 15 guys out of the state of Texas in that class. You look at 2022 in that class, again, big class, 28 guys in there, 20 of them out of the state of Texas. You keep going in 2023, 15 guys out of the state of Texas, 2024, 12 guys out of the state of Texas. Again, 2025, 15 more guys out of the state of Texas. Really just doing a great job of Texas, preeminent football powerhouse in the high school world, getting some of the best college football recruits in all the world. But what does Texas do? They dominate their state first. I think that shows this shows the results of what can happen if you have a plan and you start to stick to it. It takes time. Now, Texas, they've been really good and they've been very impressive early on in this stage. But I think Steve Sarkisian came in here with a plan of, okay, I really have to dominate the state of Texas. I know the best players come from the state of Texas. We got to keep dominating over and over again. And over time, it will build and compound and compound. And that flywheel hits. And then all of a sudden, we're going to start to explode. And you can see that on the chart in 2025, what was going on. They're starting to explode. All of that is culminating in something very special happening in Texas. And I think that's a key to a plan he had and what he has been doing in his recruiting. And I think it's just starting to show. If you're able to be that dominant recruiter, if you're able to win over all the great recruits, eventually things are going to add up and you get more consistency, and you're going to win games. And you see that in the wins, you see that in the quality of recruits. It just keeps getting better. And it's like you said, they're almost to a point now where there's really not too much more to go up. So when you keep getting better and better, the growth of that isn't going to be quite as much. But one game now, if you get enough recruits, quality recruits to come in, raise your quality of player by just a little bit, that's the difference of not making the national championship game and winning the national championship game. Those little minute details, that's the increments we're at now for Texas. This is a Texas team that is now expected. It is a disappointing season if they do not make the college football playoff. It is a disappointing season probably if they don't win in the first or even second rounds of the college football playoff. This is a team that has to make it to the semifinal or even the final for it to be a pretty solid season for Texas. I'd say if they lost in the semifinal, people would eventually look back on it as a good season, but there in the moment, they would be disappointed. So this is a team that they really have to make the college football playoff final for people to be like, all right, we did really good, but we fell a little bit short. I'm okay with that season. So that's what we're talking about. Very minute details, very, small things that make big differences. And that's what we're starting to see. Texas has gotten better and better. We're starting to see an explosion in the 2025 season. So I think that's going to show an even a little bit more increase for Texas. And I think it's going to make a big difference as far as this is the difference between not making and or losing a college football playoff or winning the college football playoff. And I think Texas fans should be really excited about that possibility.
And it's important to remember they weren't exactly terrible in terms of recruiting talent before, right? It wasn't like they were, bottom 50 or something like that. They were already at a high level. They had a high baseline and they slowly improved on it. And now they've completely spiked. And again, we're talking about a rolling 4-year average. So the point of using that rolling average for people who aren't familiar with that kind of analysis is to kind of smooth out the bumps, right? Because if you go year by year, if you have the number one class in the country one year and then you dip down to number 8 the next year, it's going to kind of like, well, you had a really spike and then a big dip. What's happening? Well, if you take the average, you're 4. That's really what you are, right, between those two rankings. So that's exactly what we did when we looked at the 4-year trailing. And the average for Texas just gets better and better, and now we're in the spike, right? And they were really, really good before. And when you look at a team, when we talk about teams going into the spike, very rarely do we see teams that are good hit that spike, right? Normally it's a team that's, there's 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, something like that. Then they hit that, and oh my goodness, now they're competing for a playoff spot, right? That's normally what happens. It is very rare that a team is already a solid contender and then they hit that spike Because at that point, the only example I think that's even remotely close is the Michigan Wolverines a few years ago when they won that national title with Harbaugh, right? That's the only program I can think of where they were kind of on a similar trajectory. They hit a little bit of a spike and then they won a national title. But Texas's numbers are far better than Michigan's ever were. That's what makes this so astounding to me, right? And again, they have to execute on Saturdays. This isn't handing them a national title and saying it's going to be an easy season. It never is. Certainly in the SEC, certainly not in the expanded playoff. It is a brutal stretch to get to the national championship in this new world of the college football dynamic, especially the extended playoff. But it is clear, undeniably so, that this Texas team is the best team in football on paper. They are trending in the right direction. They've got talent across the board. They've got elite coaches, elite program, elite structure, whatever you want to look at. Texas right now is top notch. We look at that famous Vince Young national championship team. That was a phenomenal football team across the board. But when I look at this Texas team collectively and consider the environment that we're in right now in the major college football, it's very hard pressed to find a team that's more talented, more ready to win now than Texas. I mean, even that special team, that was magical. But honestly, Vince Young, Huff, those guys, there was a couple stars. Oh, they were a good team, Mac Brown, don't get me wrong, but there's a couple stars that went above and beyond. The overall depth and talent level of this Texas roster, and again, the data supports this, is outstanding. It's almost unbelievable to look at it, and that's why I think they're the clear favorite to win it all and maybe even run the table in 2025.